Hello and welcome to another special interview with Coach Igor Stimac. Big time. I mean, India, the World Cup qualifiers, coach has said multiple times in the past, these are the matches that define character, defines the national team. I know the preparation has not been ideal. I know Jigson not available, Anwar Ali not available. These are important blows. But how are you looking at things, coach? Because Kuwait and Qatar, more importantly, Kuwait, the first match, will perhaps define our campaign. So, first thoughts.
Yes, you are right. I will just repeat what you said. We got a huge blow with three very important players of our starting 11 getting injured in the recent months, and they will be out for most of the season. So without Ashik, Anwar and Jigson, the team will not be the same, obviously, and we're going to miss them a lot. But speaking about importance of the games, I mean, it's opening games of the World Cup qualifiers, so I don't need to mention to you how important this is for a whole generation of the players which are joining us, and how important this is for the country, So we are looking forward to the games. We know that we didn't get what we were looking for in regards to the long camps, but Kuwait is in the same position also, So hopefully we can go through these opening two games without hurting ourselves too much, and as I said earlier, staying alive for the March qualifier games.
So if I have to be realistic, and there is so much interest in Indian football now, if I have to be realistic, without these three players, what is a realistic assessment? Do you see us being competitive? Because obviously China and the Asian Games was a different story. To be competitive was perhaps not being realistic. But here, without the three players, how do you set up the first match against Kuwait? Mentally, physically, we will be there?
Firstly, mentally, because what awaiting us in Kuwait is something our players probably never faced, with a rough pitch, difficult conditions, and with a huge crowd, enormous support to Kuwait players, very passionate supporters backing up their team, and Kuwait side with a great recent form. If you just look back and you see that they defeated Bahrain in away game 3-1, that they played fantastic game against Emirates away from home. They lost the game 1-0, but they played fantastic game. They could have scored 5-6 goals. They had fantastic chances in that game. They defeated Syria 2-1. So it's telling you and confirming that what I was saying about Kuwait prior to the SAF championship, everything was true. They are a very competitive side with a great quality, individual quality in their team, and they can hurt anyone on their day. So we need to be very careful. I'm more worried about our recent form of some of our players, which significantly dropped since July, and solid because what's been happening lately, especially in Malaysia, and Iraq, we started conceding goals in a very same old-fashioned way, which was happening years ago, which I'm not happy about. I need players to stay compact, defensively solid, and not leaking goals, not giving away simple passes and balls without reason whatsoever.
So, from there, I will come back and approach this question because you mentioned this point even in your media interaction after the Merdeka Cup. But the point about refereeing, are you worried about that going into this qualifier against Kuwait? It is now a pattern. Everywhere India has played, whether it is absence of VAR, you appealing, saying there is a giant screen, take a look, whether it is refereeing, goals getting conceded, penalties not being given. This is becoming a pattern against India. Anything on that? Going into this match in front of a hostile Kuwait crowd, are you apprehending anything like that? And what do we do to combat such a thing?
Yeah, listen, I don't expect the referee to do silly things in the World Cup qualifiers, So it might be a very different referee approach to the game, and much more serious than it is when you go to play tournaments, kind of Merdeka Cup and King's Cup, when referees are trying to push you away from the pitch with their decisions because you don't have football authority in the football world, And we are still on our way of creating that authority with our game style, with the wins, with the approach, with the attitude, with everything, with what needs to be presented on the pitch. So it's something you need to earn in the football world, not to be mistreated by the referees wherever you go. And that's why I was strongly against going away and playing these tournaments in September and October, because those FIFA windows never served well India. We are always mistreated in any aspect. It's not only about refereeing, it's about how the host countries are treating you and trying to disturb you and take your focus away from the game, from the match, which is always important.
Defensively, now coming back to that question, I mean, when I go, and before this interview also, I was on YouTube looking at the footage, some of it. How do you sort of rectify that, and how do you put a system together again in 6 days? Because clearly there is a problem that has crept in. ISL, very different ball game. Local tournaments, very different ball game compared to the national team. Against a quality side, Kuwait and then Qatar, which is a top side, played the World Cup. So top sides, how do you rectify these defensive lapses in such short a time?
With the training drills, with the individual meetings with the players, with analysis on their movements, positioning, and things which need to be better, definitely. What I'm worried about is what we have seen in the AFC Cup club competitions also, because it's not something we can be hopeful about, because if you look only at one of our best clubs, Mumbai, which is competing in the AFC Champions League, the performances we cannot be happy about, because playing 4 games without conceding goals, without having a greater impact there, it's telling us that we need to be worried. We cannot be too optimistic about facing strong teams, which kind of a teams which Al Hilal, when you see Saudi Arabian team with great foreign players there, they don't allow you to have the ball. Mumbai had only 180 passes in 98 minutes, which is only 2 passes per minute. So it's something you need to find way to get out of it, and that will be very similar when we face Qatar. We need to find a way to get out of such situation, but you can get out only with a high press, with aggressive attitude. You cannot approach such games without being aggressive and not letting and giving space and time to these players and teams to hurt you, to stabilize their game, their passing control, their continuing attacks.
Last 2 questions. One, I was reading this FIFA interview of Sunil Chhetri where he very lovingly talks about you, the impact, and of course says it will be the greatest day of his life as and when India qualifies for the FIFA World Cup. A lot of people have spoken about it. FIFA has tweeted about it. I'm sure you've read that interview. Your thoughts, and you will have Sunil back. Your thoughts on that? I mean, yes, it's a dream that we are living, but because our captain alluded to it to FIFA, I just wanted to ask your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate his words. And it's something we all together earned in the last 4.5 years with our work, with our attitude, creating environment of positive attitude and positive mindset around the national team, not only inside the dressing room, but whoever was coming close to our environment could feel the intensity of positive mindset and the attitude in the national team comes. So that's something which has been created in the last 5 years. So we've been working very hard upon that, and it's really important for me as a coach that all my players feel safe when they come to the national team. I don't want them to feel any extra pressure representing the country, because that will not help us. I'm well aware throughout my experience that pressure is never bringing you anything good into the game or onto the pitch. So making them feel good, making them feel at home when they join the national team camp. It's something which is first challenge we always face, and that's something we work really hard on. So I want them to enjoy each day, each second, each minute spent with the national team, to enjoy the work, never mind how hard it is, but I want them to feel confident so they can be creative on the pitch. That's really important for us. And just to come back to the players we need to replace, it's important to mention that losing Ashik up front, we lost a big part of our high press attitude, which was present there throughout June, July, when we won these 3 tournaments. Losing Jigson, we are losing the stability in passing and ball possession. And then at the end, losing Anwar Ali is losing stability in the build-up phase. Obviously we have now Mahesh in a great form, and we cannot think about anyone else there starting the game apart from replacing Ashik. On Jigson position, we have various options. With Apuya coming back to the national team, it's a great chance for him to prove himself and to bounce back in a very positive way, because he earned it. And I just hope that he can present a great form in the national team also. And Anwar Ali, we have various options. We need to see who will be the best options for us on the day.
Last question, you mentioned pressure. There will be pressure because look, now there is expectation. World Cup qualifiers itself brings pressure. But there are 2 ways. Sachin Tendulkar, my friend, says there are 2 ways to deal with pressure. One, if you treat it as an opportunity, and if people behind you. So he says, if 1 billion people are behind you and they push you forward, that's one way of dealing with pressure. If 1 billion people are on top of you and push you down, that's one way of dealing with pressure. You need to use pressure in a positive way. How are you going to deal with pressure, and what will you tell the boys? Because there will be, despite the Cricket World Cup on, there will be pressure when you play Kuwait. In Kuwait, all of India will want a miracle.
It will be pressure, definitely. But as I told you, I'm never putting that kind of pressure on the players. I'm trying to leave that pressure on myself, on my shoulders. And I'm telling them always, leave the results to me. I'm responsible for the result. What you need to do, you need to go out on the pitch. You need to be well aware that you have a great opportunity making more than 1 billion people happy and bring happiness to their home, to their daily problems and daily challenges. So that's great challenge, great opportunity for each player. And I will be the one taking care of the results, bad or good. We don't have problem with that. We need to have strong faith, strong belief about what we do. Once again, nothing drastically will happen after these first opening 2 games. We can either put ourselves in a good position at the opening World Cup qualifiers, or put ourselves under more pressure. But with pressure, I'm the one who will cope with it. I want players to enjoy their game, no more than that.
Fantastic. Exactly why you have earned so much respect in the country, by pushing yourself in front to soak in that pressure while you give players the credit if they do well. I hope India does well as an Indian fan, analyst of the game. But at the same time, we've got to be realistic, respect the opponents who will be better prepared, somebody like a Qatar. So we will see how things go. But one thing, like you said, effort will not be lacking. That's what is important for us. Going forward, we need to be proud of ourselves and put the best version of ourselves forward as a team. That's when India will go forward with you, Coach Stimac. I hope you will join me once again and give me a few more minutes at the end of the first game. And of course, my team will be there to support you on in every possible way in Bhubaneswar and everywhere else that you play. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you joining us. And on behalf of every Indian football fan, wish you the best. May that miracle happen.
Thank you so much, dear Boria. Wish you all well.
Thank you.